it's a pleasure to share our thoughts and some examples on solving sustainability challenges in partnership with other industry leaders across the supply chain. I think we agreed that our slides can be shared. I think you plan to share some of the slides later on, so you will get
as PDFs. So not the slides, not the PowerPoint, of course.
So P&G is known as a global company with global trusted brands. This is the European, or more detailed, the German visual of brands. For the North American friends, Ariel would be Orange and Tide, Fairy would be Dawn, and Lenore, I think, we have so many brands, different by region, but many of the brands are actually global brands. P&G is focusing on cleaning, hygiene and health on and in the body and in our environment, mostly the house. Our strategy is has been very consistent for the last couple of years. We call it an integrated strategy that looks at every innovation, everything we do through multiple lenses, because only then we know we can be successful, we create the right products and the right supply and logistics and commercialization plan behind consumer meaning innovations, products and services. And two areas of focus that we have in the organization are, I think, very relevant to this group. It's supply chain and environmental sustainability, and it's basically the foundation for the program that we call Sustainability Solutions. How do we think about products and sustainability? And we look through that like a triangle, we call it the trifecta. Products need to be irresistibly superior. You may hear absolute superiority, and that means that we compare the products not only within consumer product categories, but also what you may get in certain categories from professional services. Then category growth and value creation is essential to fuel first the investment into programs and sustainability, but also to get into the households and make the impact, because without that we would get delisted and not showing up on the shelf, or in e-commerce would not be good for our business. And the third part is sustainability in what we do, from scope 1, 2 and 3. And here the strategy is focused on 3 levels of impact. One is our own impact, our own operations, our offices, the materials we buy, the scope 3 upstream, for example, that is our direct impact. The second one, and for P&G it's a magnitude higher, maybe 5, 6x or 8x in total, is actually the footprint that we create through the products in the use at home by the consumers in the industries. Just think about a few hero programs, cold wash programs, whenever we can wash our fabrics with 30 degrees Celsius. We save so much energy, it's much more versus what the product itself contains as greenhouse gas equivalent. And the third part is that while we are big, we are still too small to really make a meaningful change and often bring the necessary technologies and infrastructure into the operations. So this is why our third pillar is really working in partnerships and helping not only us but the total industry to succeed on reducing our footprints. And this was really born out of the early learnings that many initiatives failed, because while we have size, even our offtake is often not sufficient to get to techno-economic, meaningful scale and basically find financial models. So the challenges that we and most or all of you face are in most cases bigger than our own and what we can do and solve. And then most of us have very overlapping challenges and problems because they go along the value creation chain, and so by partnering, we can actually team up behind the challenges and also split the billing the one or the other fashion to get to the solution. Then there are many synergies. We have different IP, we have different background expertises, we have different R&D, engineering or commercialization skills. And in the end, the target is both parties, and all parties, if it's multi-party, need to benefit both from creating the impact, but also from their own value creation. And a lot of the programs that I will now talk about and exemplify are really born out of a challenge that some of our innovators faced in their categories or by questions when it comes to recycling. So sometimes invention happens that early on we are clear we will never become the final producer or operator of a technology. And then we early on do an assessment. Is there value for others across the supply chain to seek partnerships? And we often then conduct joint development, sometimes joint investments to work towards scaling technologies. And one example is plastic recycling. We consume, as Noru has presented, in our bottles, but also in many other products, a lot of plastics. And for a good reason, because plastics have so many advantages. But the true fact is that only a very small amount of plastics really end up in products again. Bigger but still small amount is collected and recycled, and a lot goes into landfill incineration or just into the nature. And that is not acceptable. It's a waste of an expensive resource and a useful resource. But most of the recycled plastic goes into park benches and waste bins, and at some point we have sufficient of them. So how can we recycle them back into the quality of the products that we need? And so we are working across an orchestrated partnership and map of ecosystems, some with NGOs, some with industry partners, some yes with startups and ventures, despite we are not a venture company. And today I'd like to focus on 3 programs that are all based on solvent recycling of plastics to enhance purity and hygiene. And some of you have probably seen this graphic from the Nova Institute. It basically outlines the whole sequence of possible recycling technologies. And one that some of you are probably aware is pure cycle polypropylene dissolution recycling that really solves the polymer under pressure and temperature. And then the polymer, it's like a physical mechanical recycling still. It swims in the soup and you can filter it out. Basically, we can work in like programs. The first plant is finished in Ohio, still some problems in the scale up, that is normal, but we hope to now launch first products next year with that material. We have created a partnership for polyethylene with Dow, where we are currently in a JDA, and just recently at K-Show announced the FlexLoop, a solvent extraction recycling technology that takes impurities out using a solvent but leaves a film or a rigid otherwise intact. And the main purpose of all of these technologies is plastic to plastic, back into hygiene, food, or even medical grade applications, so that basically a package can go back into our high standard, high quality needs for consumer packaging, and to do that at a more environmental friendly, lower greenhouse gas footprint. But we also partner with the industry, license, and work on partnerships. I think Plastic Pack, I saw somebody is here from Plastic Pack. This is an example of a partnership with Plastic Pack where we in the end licensed our polymeric aerosol technology. It's in scale up, hope to get into the market in 2027. And the technology has also evolved under the partnership led by Plastic Pack into working on concepts even with durables and refills, so taking the initial IP to the next level. or in different areas. On the top two examples from our colleagues in China, they worked on paper-based or inflatable packaging for e-commerce, and both technologies are now by the licensing partner also rolled out in Europe and North America. Aeroflex, a film-based bottle, so not a blue molded bottle, a bit competing to some here, saving plastics in the making of the product. Or Influx has been first a subsidiary and now licensed to RJG, and working with RJG, it's actually enabling autonomous molding, and especially in recycled plastics, where the distribution curve of MFI and polymer properties is much wider compared to virgin materials. We need more robust, more autonomous, and what you talked, AI-enabled, self-adapting process technologies, and the Influx is actually a great example. Now, the one where I'm now inviting you, Tom, to go on stage, and I go a little bit into the background, is a high-speed and high-resolution laser marking technology in partnership with LasX that we have developed out of different motivations. It may have started with digitization and sustainability in packaging, and the question, can we eliminate labels that by itself have kind of lead time and complexities in the supply chain, and really laser straight at the speed of a high-speed PNG filling line onto the bottle without the needs of adhesives label. And now over to you, Tom, the expert behind the technology and representing LasX. And finally, we conclude jointly together on our insights on partnerships and what is helpful to consider.
Thank you, Hansjörg. Good morning. As Hansjörg said, Tom Weigman from LasX Industries. There you go. So a lot of you are familiar with laser coating, and what we're talking about is laser sharp marking. And so laser sharp marking is more than coating. It is a label replacement. This is high speed at production rate, product embellishment, and laser label replacement. So this is a scalable solution to production rates. We have some of these going at 100, 200, up to 300 parts per minute. And so we can gang up multiple units to run this in a row. We can integrate either near the fill line, either before or probably preferably after the fill. For bottles, you can also do a whip process running on work in progress. But this is high resolution, large area, high speed label replacement. Okay, so it's you also get the different colors, different contrasts with different materials, and you can use more of the package. Okay, so this is labels are limited to a die line of the label. They have trouble on curved surfaces and ribs. The laser can be applied directly to the package, so you don't have those limitations, and the label doesn't fall off when you grab it. Okay? So it works on materials you're already using. Polyethylene with titanium dioxide, it will work out of the box. The laser reacts with the titanium dioxide to create a very wonderful high contrast mark. Polypropylene can use additives, and it's an incredibly high contrast mark. PET, you can get light marks, stark marks, and we're currently working to scale that to production speeds. So new materials are always something that we're interested in, new additives. Really the key here is that we're developing this technology, and we're looking for other partners, and P&G is looking for other partners to help develop this technology. So if you have ideas, you have different products, you have different additives, you have different ideas of what this can help, we want to work with you. This is just example of some of the base colors. You can see that these are all TiO2 based. Some work, some may not. But you're welcome to stop by our table. We have some of these examples out, but they are different abilities for different products, and of course the composition of the material has to do with how clear the market where the TiO2 is, where what types of substrates are on. It's also a very high resolution process. So from halftones, you can get the halftones with stippling or dithering, and you also have the ability. I said this wasn't laser coating, but you kind of get that for free, right? So imagine putting your code right into the text of your label. You don't have to have this large label area where the laser marker hits it afterwards, or the laser coder hits it afterwards to put the code on. Ingredients, there's more we're trying to get more ingredients like that are actually in the package, on the package. There's more regulations to do that, so this allows you to change the image basically without having a bunch of labels printed with the wrong ingredients on it. Same thing can be said for languages, right? You don't have to have a full stock of labels for every region. You can change it by just changing the digital file. Without labels and ink, it means minimal consumables. And as a bonus, the laser sharp marking is on HDPE is recognized by APR and RESIC class for recycling. There's obviously some details on how you're doing your packaging, so any questions, I'm sure that you can come and talk to us or ask questions on that. But really, it's about we can work with your application. Right? So we are scalable to mini production rates, slow to fast, and we can work with you to integrate what we call a laser sharp processing module to your production line. And we can either do that in direct partnership with you, or we can co-develop with your material handling partner of choice. A lot of, if you have somebody that exists that knows how to handle your product, they may be better to do that than we. And we have very good relationships with P&G's material handling vendors that we've worked with, and I'm sure that there's others that we would be able to work with as well. Or we could do a turnkey solution. We could be the lead, and we could either do some automation ourselves, or we could find material handling partners as well. From the support standpoint, we do offer worldwide support. This modular strategy that we use, this laser sharp processing module, we do have the strategy for critical spares. If something goes wrong with one of the modules, slide it out, put your spare in, and then the module is serviced back at LasX. And we are also in discussions with global partners for that. So the relationship with P&G started back in 2021. We've a few of the R&D guys got together and they said, hey, we want to do this. We want to do this, and we kind of looked at it and said, okay, how would you like to go faster? So we worked with them and we continue to work with them to drive improvements and make it, do different materials, make their process even faster. And we can confidentially partner with you. We're developing the technology, and as I said, it's already used in production, and shipping in applications. So I'm sure if there's any other questions, of course we can take it after the talk here, or we can take it back at the table in the atrium. So come and talk to us. But reflecting on our partnership, Hansjörg and I wanted to share. Oh, I got to talk on the mic. Hansjörg and I wanted to share our insights on what makes our partnership work. So, first of all, trust. So, we met, as I was saying, we met with R&D from from Procter & Gamble. We go to Cincinnati often, they come to Minneapolis often. We trust one another because we work together, right? We solve the problems together.
Alignment is important, especially we just figured out the factor of employees between LasX and P&G is 1,000. So when you work with different sized companies, don't assume the same principles apply. It's important to align early on and throughout the process.
Yeah, transparency, lay it on the line. It's in no one's interest to sugarcoat a problem or to hide a win.
And although we don't create an entity that is called a joint venture between the company, the operation and how we interact is in a JV mindset because we are jointly in the boat, rowing together and want to make that technology successful for everybody, for P&G and for LasX.
Yeah, and for complementary, these guys know the materials. We know how to do things with lasers. We know how to make them fast, and together we can create things that are better than either company could do alone.
And last not least, agility, because things change down the road, and adapting on a short cycle is essential to keep a winning partnership alive. Thank you very much. With the QR code, you can actually scan this one. It leads you to Sustainability Solutions, where a few more programs are presented. Now, open to questions. Thank you.